Welcome everyone to another episode of Teaching While Talking. I'm Monkey, and today I'm being joined by...
Oh, Mackenzie, Bass.
How are you doing today, Mackenzie?
I'm tired.
Yeah?
I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
But that's okay.
Why are you tired?
It's finals week.
Yeah?
Here at Northwest. Yeah. We're ending on, I think Thursday, so. Yeah.
That's pretty exciting. How have you felt about your finals?
I'm almost done. I have a page and a half left of my final, so I'm sitting pretty, ready to graduate.
That's really good. What class is that for?
It's for International Study Tour, which is next week, and we're going to go to Scotland, Ireland, and London. And it's just a 10-page paper that we have to write about the culture and the interaction differences between them and us. So
That's awesome. Going into it, what do you think are going to be some of the differences? What are you thinking the differences are going to be?
Well, I kind of already wrote the paper, so the problem with that is
okay.
I already know the differences.
Sure.
But a lot of differences have to do with how we speak versus how they speak. There's sports, they play hockey. I mean, we play hockey too, but it's more prominent over there.
Mm-hmm.
Hockey, they like to play soccer, but that's also known as football. And just some other, it's common for them to go to the bar, whereas, for us, it's not so, common for people to just, hey, pop in and out. I mean, you hear about it, but...
Yeah. It's not the most common thing.
No, not for social gatherings. We more like to social gather over, coffee and tea. They like to social gather over beer and whiskey. Might want to cut that out.
It's all good. Yeah, so... You're finishing up finals. What year is this for you?
I'm a senior.
Oh, that's exciting.
Mm-hmm. I graduate.
What are you graduating with?
A degree in psychology.
Nice. That's pretty exciting.
Bachelor's of Arts. So.
Is there a particular field of psychology that you're most interested in, or is it just sort of broad psychology?
I'm more interested in social work. My concentration is marriage and family.
Okay.
But I'm really interested in the social work aspect, so working of social injustices, and I find it interesting to see what people's needs are and what needs to be met and how can you meet those needs, and I think those are more important at the end of the day. I mean, everybody's needs need met in different ways, so mental health and other things, but social injustices are definitely where my heart's at.
That sounds really cool. Do you want to, could you tell me more about that? I agree, social justice is, a big deal for me as well. I think that's really important. But I haven't spent nearly as much time looking into it as I'm sure you have. So could you tell me a little more about that? Yeah.
So, one of the biggest things that I have, this, frustration with is slavery still exists, and that's something that people don't understand. And there's domestic slavery, there's forced slavery, and then there's trafficking. And domestic slavery is kind of when they've kind of been tricked into it, and so the average girl can be sold to slavery by someone kind of tricking her, saying, hey, I have what you need, I don't, you know, your mom and dad doesn't love you, I love you, you're a pretty babe, come home with me and I'll take care of you. And then they'll buy them a hairbrush and a toothbrush and these essentials, and they feel loved and taken care of, but then the reality is they're no, now you're in debt. So it's debt bondage to these women and children and men, that happens to men too. And then there's forced slavery, which a parent might actually sell their kid into slavery. And that would look like doing things you could be working in the fields or doing all these things, working for clothing lines, sewing, doing those sorts of things, or in home cleaning and stuff, and they have no other choice but to pay, they don't get paid, so they're paying, the person sold their kid to these people, and it's just kind of I think it's just this horrible horrible thing,
absolutely,
they're a slave. And then there's trafficking, and that's sex slavery, which is prostitution, and that's illegal.
Yeah.
Technically, so.
Yeah, it's yes, it is illegal.
Yeah.
Right. So now that you know about this, like, I can see that this is like something on your heart.
Yeah.
So this is like, I guess, the area of study, right? That area of psychology. How are you gonna, like?
How can you help?
Yeah.
Well, that's the tricky thing, is it's hard to help, but there's organizations like Genesis Project, Rescue Freedom, and Hope for Justice that you can like give your money to and stuff. But there's also like a lot of like practical needs that need to be met, and so if you want to like go to places where they have shelters built for women and children to go to as like a resource, you can like do like buy like toothbrushes and toothpaste and like pay your money forward, so to speak, to like invest in their lives in ways that they don't necessarily have.
Yeah.
Because they came from a place feeling like they are unable to get out, when the reality is they've just been fed lies. And they've fed lie after lie after lie from the pimps and from the people of ownership to make them think that they're not free. They don't have their own free will to get out. And so to be able to just kind of nurture them. And then there's signs that you can look for people. So like when people are traveling, you can tell like, is this person, do they have like, so like a bunch of kids that might not quite look like they fit into this situation, if they're being told not to say anything, if they're being told kind of like, hey, like, don't say anything, like be quiet, and they kind of look kind of reserved, and they're not looking as natural as they might be to like kind of talk to people and interact with people, that's a sign. And usually there's a hotline that you can call to like turn those sorts of things in, and people can catch them and go to jail for it.
Yeah.
So, but practical needs is like asking around, like at Genesis Project they have like beds, and you can go in and you can like clean the shelters out and like help keep it clean and sanitary and more feel homely for the men and women and children that stay there. And so it's kind of like this opportunity for the people to like come in and just like feel more like not as vulnerable to the world and susceptible to the things that are of this world, but more for themselves. So
all right, that sounds like some really important stuff, like some really important needs.
Yeah.
So do you mind if I ask, in your career, how do you see, like, getting this information out there is a huge part of, like, helping this. But looking forward in your career and what you want to do with this, how do you see, what do you plan to do with this?
I personally would like to be a social worker, but I have a vision someday to be a part of, like, a nonprofit, work for a nonprofit, or build off of a nonprofit, or build my own nonprofit based on the human needs of the area. So as much as human trafficking is definitely a part of my heart, I could also see working with people in poverty, or working with teen pregnancy, or working with drug addicts, just to kind of help them realize that where they're at is not necessarily where they have to be in the future. And so just to help them not only have to like change their mental attitude, but change the way that they act about their mental attitude, so their behavior.
Okay.
And so I think a lot of like, with my degree in psychology, that can help in return with like how I interact with these people that are really hurting and are lost in the world. So
absolutely, for sure. So, all right, this is gonna sound like this is going in kind of a weird direction, but I want you to follow me on this, all right?
Okay.
So, did you watch a lot of shows, like, growing up when you were a kid?
Like TV?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, okay.
I really didn't watch a lot of TV.
Well, all right. Specifically, have you ever seen the Power Rangers?
No.
All right.
I never watched the Power Rangers.
Well, do you know what the Power Rangers is about?
Vaguely.
All right. So, The Power Rangers is basically like a team of like 5 teenagers like trying to save a city, right?
Sounds like Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, it's kind of like that, except they're not turtles; they're humans. But it's pretty close.
Not green.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But the reason why I mention this is because a lot of like the episodes in the show are themed around like teaching, because they're aimed at kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're aimed at like teaching some of these different ideas, like, you know, like here's how to stand up to a bully, or like make sure to take care of like the other kids in your class, or things like that. And at least what occurs to me, because I think like teaching kids lessons is really important.
Absolutely.
So like taking that idea of like really impressing like the importance of social justice and like teaching that through a show like Power Rangers could be really beneficial. Now, it may sound a little crazy, but
no, it's realistic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like they are going through like genuine struggles, and like these are things that like real people are dealing with, and I think that something that may seem as like colorful and maybe even silly as Power Rangers could be like a good means of like easing kids into like the discussion of social justice. Because if you just hit them with something like this horrible thing is happening, like it's a really heavy thing.
Right. I totally agree. I think that a lot of time that these issues don't start because an adult said like, hey, like I want to do this terrible thing. Like they start with kids, and so if you really like want to like help improve the future generations, you've got to start young.
Yeah, I definitely think that like going to children and like getting those values early and making sure like you take care of the young especially is a big part of it.
Mm-hmm. I think it's a lot to do with like how you teach your kids and what you teach your kids, and the impact that you have on them can impact what they do in the future. So
awesome. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a moment when you know you're going to say something and then you just completely forget everything that could possibly have come out of your mouth? And you just sit there and you're like, I need to say something right now.
That's validation.
All right.
You're human.
Yeah.
I'm human. So, imperfections.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so I guess just to go over what we talked about. So you were talking about the importance of, first you were talking about how your passion is for social justice, right?
Mm-hmm.
And how you want to be a social worker, and you want to like really help these people who have these issues and really get that like straightened away.
Yeah. Yeah, I do. And I think because even though there's not a whole lot you can always do in certain circumstances, you can always try to make the impact. You can always try to make something better than what it was before. And that's the only hope you can have.
Yeah, for sure.
So.
And we talked about the importance of teaching kids and getting those values in early and trying to take care of them when they're kids and like heal those hurts early.
Yeah, the integration.
Yeah.
The integration is so key, because if you don't start then where is it going to go later? So.
For sure. Absolutely. Well, I want to thank all of you for watching the show. Thank you for watching Teaching While Talking. I want to thank Mackenzie for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we'd love to have you back on another time.
We'll have to see.
Well, this has been Teaching While Talking, and I hope you all have a good day. Bye.
Bye. I don't know if I'm supposed to keep maybe.
No, it's all good. It's fine. So this can end up in the bloopers, if anything.
Oh,
I think
bloopers! You should do some bloopers.
We can have bloopers now. We'll just have some bloopers then. It's all good.
Don't be ashamed. No shame.
No, it was
No
very
shame.
funny.
It's like,
Oh man, that was good. And there was just
don't
like
mess up AA, Ron. No? What?
what?
You guys don't know what I'm talking about?
No. I think I have heard this before. It's
It's the thing on YouTube, Key and Peele.
yeah.
And
No,
he's like, you don't mess up, AA, Ron.
yeah. It's okay. So there's this video, Key and Peele, right?
Yeah.
Who
Substitute teacher, he comes in, he's like, he's going through attendance, he's like, AA, Ron. Where's AA, Ron at? Balake.
It's basically taking
Blank.
like the guy is mispronouncing all of the relatively normal names like John or something, and just like
Blake
How do you
and Aaron.
mispronounce John?
like Blake is instead of Blake, it's like Block A. It's
You
like
haven't seen it?
No.
it's
This
a,
is great interaction. You should be.
it's a good video. Yeah.
I'm touching the table. Touch it again.